All right, let's go. This meeting of the Norwich Selectboard is convened at 6:32 p.m. on 25th March of 2026. I am Kimo Griggs, Chair of the Norwich Selectboard. I'm joined by Brandon Klassen, Vice Chair, Mary Layton, Matt Sweat, and Rob Gear. Town Manager Brendan Duffy is with us, running the Zoom session. Notes will be taken by Jenny Tolman and Race from Junction Arts and Media is enabling our digital communications and recording. Thank you for attending this special meeting of the Select Board, which has general supervision of the town of Norwich. We appreciate the valuable contributions of our town employees, elected and appointed officials, and the myriad volunteers that make our town what it is. We endeavor to be respectful of all while keeping what is best for Norwich as our North Star. If the chair recognizes you during the meeting, please try to keep your presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes. Thank you. I'd like to welcome back former Select Board member Priscilla Vincent. Take this opportunity to once again thank you for your valuable service to Norwich. Also, oh my gosh, I want to welcome the representatives from Norwich Baseball. And tell you your presence here means a great deal to us. So thank you for coming. Please be patient with us as we get the meeting started. All right. Agenda. Any discussion? What is best for Norwich? It's written. No discussion? All right. Do we have a motion out there? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, in the public.
Behind the pole.
Come on up. You can take a cookie if you like.
Thank you, Cheryl Lindbergh. I just was wondering if there's any opportunity to move the item for the listers, which is really brief. Probably all know that by now. Up further on the agenda, so I can just leave these with you and be done. That was my question. Thank you.
No objection to that. Is there any...
I'm okay with it.
How about if we move it to before the review of applications to boards and commissions?
Sounds good.
So we'll move number 14 up to number 6.
Thank you.
Number 6 will become number 7 and so on until we get back to 15. All right, you're welcome. Any other discussion? Let's vote. But, oh, we haven't had a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve the agenda as modified.
A second.
Okay, vote.
Aye.
Klassen, yes. Layton?
Yes.
Yes. Sweat, Gear?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, terrific. Chair's report is next on the agenda. Since our last regular meeting on March 11th, 2026, Vice Chair Brendan Klassen and I have met with the town manager, assistant town manager, and assistant to the town manager to discuss the agenda for this week, as well as our approach to some actions that are required from time to time by the Select Board, including why and how we go into executive sessions. We outlined some changes to how we might approach putting the agenda together, shared ideas as to how to do the work of the Select Board while easing workloads for town employees. I invited John Carroll to meet with us this evening and got permission from other members of the Select Board to do so, and I met with him to prepare. I met with our town manager informally a few times to discuss minor concerns, points of procedure. We also met with the director of our recreation department and communicated with a number of citizens who provided feedback on discussions from earlier meetings, with speeding along town roads a common subject. End of chair's report. Are there public comments for items not on the agenda? Yes.
Good evening, Chair. Check home at Norwich Baseball. Good evening. We are found in the correspondence section of the handout. I thank you for entertaining us this evening. I think for everybody's interest, we can touch on this and get some young kids home for dinner and bed. It will probably help the rest of your meeting as well. Despite what the weather will tell you, spring is coming. We are 5 weeks away from opening day of the Norwich baseball season. We have a lot of our athletes here this evening. We're really looking forward to this season. Quick show of hands from those players. How many are afraid of a bad hop at Gerard Field? Okay. Another, you can put them down. Another show of hands. How many have hurt themselves sliding at Gerard Field? Okay, thank you. So that's the point and the purpose of this, which is we've had a couple seasons without the annual repair when we come out of mud season, and the maintenance schedule just needs to be revisited as well. We, the organization, are happy to continue to participate. We take care of the field when we're out there 6 or 7 days a week, but there's some machine work that has to happen, edging, adding dirt, all stuff that's in that memo. The timeliness is key here. Our opening day is Friday, May 1st. You are all invited. It will be at Gerard Field. We'll have our T-ballers, our 10U and our 12U playing a little bit, fun barbecue and all of that. But we'd love to kick off this season with the field in good condition. And on a personal note, I am an alumni of this program. I came up playing in Norwich baseball for John Gerard, who the field is named after. He was a deeply meaningful mentor to me, and a big loss for this town. And so I don't want it to go miss that this is an honor to him that we're doing as well. And we need to take care of the field that is named after him. I'm happy to answer any questions. My only hope is that we do not lose the limited window we have. So if we could maybe take some steps in the next couple of weeks, happy to come back at your next meeting, check in. My hope is that this is a scope of work that can be done in a short amount of time and kick off a really great spring and summer of Norwich baseball. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Absolutely.
So I spoke with Bree and I spoke with our town manager, Brandon. I am also deeply interested in the baseball in Norwich, as you know, having a 12-year-old who plays, who has played. And I noticed you didn't bring any tools for us tonight to go after the meeting to do the work.
I did bring Norwich baseball hats for you, though. So one step in the right direction. If that's an acceptable gift under the town rules, I don't want to overflow.
Might be a
I
conflict.
can say from my perspective, we know that the past few years, the contractors who do this sort of work have been flat out. Materials have been scarce. They're all been dealing with storm damage and so on. That's not an excuse, but it is a little bit of an explanation, I think, of why the contractors who have been hired to do the work have not actually done the work.
100%. And as we say, every practice, like we focus not on the mistakes, we focus on how to get better. And the greatest hitter of all time hit 406, which means he struck out 60% of the time. We're not focused on that. We're just focused on this year and going forward. I totally understand the trouble of finding labor. Bree does so much for the program and for all the kids in town. Our DPW stretch then, cognizant of all of that, I just want to raise it and find a way to rally and get the field done this year.
So would it be appropriate to ask Bree or the town manager to respond to this in any way, or we think we can help get this?
Yeah, I think Bree met with the original contractor that had been hired to do the field resurfacing. My understanding is they will be able to finish some of the work that maybe wasn't fully completed, or at least touch that up before the season begins. And we do this year have a full-time building and grounds technician, which was missing last year, which was also part of our maintenance issue there. So we have somebody who will be focused on that this season as well. So I think we're in good shape. Again, a month to go before opening day, and if something falls behind, we can chat about it. But I think it should be good.
That's fantastic. Well, we thank you all very much for your time this evening and for your help in making another great year of baseball in Norwich.
Thanks for turning out.
Absolutely.
And cookies are here in case anybody back there might be interested.
Kicks off at 5 o'clock, but we'll get on the list and all that. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you all very much.
Maybe
I'm going to release my team so that we don't disrupt your meeting. How about that?
you're gonna.
Baseball. Brandon. Oh, sorry. President of Norwich Baseball, Michael Costa.
It's not my meeting, so I'm waiting.
Oh, yes.
I'd be happy
Mr.
to.
Costa.
Michael Acosta, 40 Sunback Lane, President of Norwich Baseball Association. Super grateful for the letter that Chet wrote on behalf of the association about Gerard Field. The most majestic place to watch a baseball game in New England is Fenway Park. A close second is Huntley Meadow. The majesty of that place, particularly when you stand at home plate and see the world as a small child does, is in sharp contrast to the field and the surface itself, which is, as someone who coached, I think 68 baseball games last year all over New England, it's in really tough shape. And it is both a safety issue and a play issue. And consequently, we really can't invite, other than the teams we always play in Hartford and Lebanon and Hanover, you could not invite another team over to play. Like, it needs to be lovingly maintained. I'm so grateful to hear that Bree, who does a ton of amazing work for this town, and the town manager, who works at your pleasure, are motivated and have added resources to try to make the field better. I would just want to reiterate, to sort of stress 2 points. One, the Norwich Baseball Association in the last 3 years has gone from like an informal thing that people organized to a 501c3 that had over 60 kids playing 3rd grade through 6th grade baseball. There were probably more kids playing baseball per capita in Norwich than any other place. And while other programs have kind of been the same or dipping, Norwich has grown by leaps and bounds. A few years ago, there was a travel team started in the Upper Valley, and we barely had 1 or 2 Norwich kids on that team. Now the majority of that team is kids from Norwich. Not only is it a wonderful experience that people will carry with them for the rest of their lives, we're playing pretty darn good baseball. And there's nothing quite like the feeling when Norwich, as it did last year in the state tournament, knocked off Newport, Vermont, and Hartford, of seeing the other team saying, how did they do that? These kids, like, we always beat Norwich. And so it's been great. So we appreciate your support. We appreciate your partnership. The one thing I would mention, though, is that the town several years ago made a tremendous investment in fixing the field. And we're back here again to try to reiterate that, try to, do that investment again. You cannot adequately maintain a baseball field without running water. And so the only thing that I would say as the town manager and the recreation director, put together plans and execute on them to fix the field this year, it's simply, you're going to be back in exactly the same place as you are today, unless somehow running water gets that field. That is not meant in any way to delay the town manager or the recreation director from doing the work that's contemplating right now. But if you want to make sure that that is money well spent over the long term, whether it be the stream or some other piping, it is almost impossible to maintain a baseball surface without water, right? We drag it every single day. We rake it every single day. It gets mowed. It needs to be curated. But without running water, that's super hard. And so that's just something to think about as you put together both a short-term plan and a medium and long-range plan. That is really the essential ingredient for making sure that the baseball field remains soft and playable through the whole year. And because as someone who worked in public service for 20 years and has an enormous amount of respect for what you all do for your community, there's nothing worse than feeling like we rolled the boulder up the hill and came all the way back down. And without running water, I worry about that. With that, I would say that the real secret about youth baseball is supposed to be for the kids, but the people that get the most out of it are the parents. The sense of community down there, seeing your kids play with their friends, seeing them try their best and take life lessons out of it, whether they succeed or fail, and just seeing the kind of memories they make and then carry with them into middle school and high school is one of the greatest joys that I've had as a member of the town. And I would be so grateful if the town invested in that field and made it commensurate with the dreams of the kids who play on it. So thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Thank you.
I have another public comment apparently from our esteemed former colleague.
Hi, Priscilla Vincent. I think that should have been an agenda item and not something that was allowed quite this much discussion without being on the agenda, interesting as it was.
Thank you.
Point of order.
Are there any other items, comments for items not on the agenda? All right. Thank you for coming.
Boys, only steel bases, not anything
Library places. Chairs back on the wall.
Item number 4. We have I'd like to introduce Doug Sonsala of Studio Nexus. Perhaps you'd like to come join us, or you can sit there if you prefer. There's got some cookies.
Need a plug in just to make sure I don't.
Studio Nexus produced a feasibility study for Tracy Hall at the end of 2024. The study outlines some repairs, maintenance, potential upgrades to a building that's a little tired from over 40 to 85 years of service to the town. But there was no real time to outline work specifically. That was meant to come later. He was invited tonight.
Go over here, Brennan. Unless you can pull it this way.
He was invited tonight to discuss with us how we might envision a Tracy Hall that suits the town of Norwich in the next 100 years. In part to assure us that the money spent on Tracy Hall now will not be spent unwisely, but also to try to provide us with a vision that's both inspirational and aspirational for Norwich. So I think we invited you in last fall, and we're hoping to hear some ideas, but I don't think you really got enough from us to do that.
Sure.
You're wrong.
Yeah. So what I was thinking I could do is share and recap the last fall's point where we were at with the feasibility study, and then get some more input from the board on possible direction. So basically, this is the feasibility study. We're not going to be able to go through the whole thing, but what we can do is go through the 3 options that were generated from it and the immediate tasks that were done, and give you a little update on that progress. Some of the things that Brennan has already tackled. So I can pull up the, if I can share my screen. I'll just pull this up. Back down to the bottom. There it is. That's sharing. Double click that, Doug, and see if that, it says it's paused. Let me try it again. I'll make sure if we can see it. There we go. Yeah. So that was the feasibility study I just held up. And then from that feasibility study, we generated some drawings that I'll try to flip through again, that identified and graphically represented sort of the there we go. Let's see if I can. I want to make sure this is visible to everybody. With the, oh, there, thank you. So this is the site plan, which identifies some of the deficiencies on the grounds, and some of these were already addressed in last year's boiler replacement. There was a buried oil tank right here that got removed and replaced with a propane tank when the new boilers were put in. And the idea there was to have 2 new boilers that would not only serve the current need, but also the future need for backup should the town decide to go to an all-electric system. With this type of building, without doing thorough insulation on a negative 10 below night, it would have trouble keeping up. So we still know we would need a propane backup no matter what. So one of those boiler systems could serve that purpose with what we just put in last year. So we're already making a step in that direction, and it doesn't preclude the future options that we've laid out here. So that's one item that's happened. The other things on here are related to mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection systems, and there's a whole slew of things here of items that are kind of on their last life. So all the terminal systems in the building are kind of at that point. So everything is kind of just being held on by duct tape in terms of the systems in the building. It's just at the end of its life. We dealt with the boilers, but there's all the other stuff that in the offices, all the terminal units are at their end of their life as well. So it's really kind of getting to the point where things need to get addressed. There's also a septic tank in the back of the building that's been having issues. There's a bend in that. That would be one thing to help it flow better. Another would be to lower it down, replace it, and there's different options along the way for those pieces to happen. So that's kind of the site. And there's also a handicap space that's kind of missing here that hasn't been put in. So those are some of the things that are on the site. And then what we did was looked at inside the building at some of the deficiencies and heard from all the staff and listed those items. So they might say it's leaky, like we feel drafty air, or it's too humid, or it's not ventilating. So we hear the problems and then we try to understand what that problem is, and how to remedy those in some of these options that we lay out. So air sealing would be a way to do that, or replacing windows are ways to start to address the health and comfort of people in the building. Providing fresh air is another thing that's kind of lacking. So all these large scale systems impact how the building feels. And then there's also how it operates. So what architects call the program is what happens in the space. So we try to listen to those kind of things as we went through with the staff to understand what's working, what's not working, what needs more space, how can we reconfigure this building to best suit the needs of the people that are working in it. So those are also captured in here as well. And then it just goes down by floor. And it's kind of repetitive. The things we heard the most were the mechanical system doesn't keep the temperature. It's hot in the summer, cold in the winter. It's drafty, it's leaky. Those are all related to those mechanical systems, insulating and replacing the windows. So, and then there's the functional stuff, which we'll get to. And these are kind of the outside of the building items. So the slate roof is one of those things that slate can last about 100 years, and we're getting right to that point on this building. So we recommended that should be looked at, and Brennan has put out a bid for that, I believe. And
We've accepted a bid. And I believe that was, do you remember the dollar amount? Very, very minimal.
It was minimal.
$5,000 or less.
Yeah. So
there's right. There's a big range between the three people, what they thought needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
We chose the middle.
Okay. So that's good. So just making sure your roof is intact is one of the most important things. Use your roof and your foundation. You want to have those always functioning or buildings deteriorate quickly, and your windows. So the roof is a high priority. And then the chimney is listed over here. When we put the propane in, we thought we could use the chimney, but it turned out it was very expensive to repair that. It was so deteriorated, like the bricks are literally falling out of that. So we ended up going out the north side instead of using that chimney because it's so decrepit. So what'll happen there is that could come down potentially as a solution. It's still going to cost money, but it would be one less thing to worry about on the outside of the building, and it will serve its purpose in the long term to probably not have that there since you've transitioned to fuels.
Is the chimney in danger of structural failure, like collapse?
I believe someone said that bricks were falling out of that, so it's a high priority. It should be dealt with like immediately. It was on the immediate list, yeah. So it should be really looked at. We
just to clarify, I don't think full bricks are from the sky. It's
mortar and
pointing and
it falls off
pieces of little pieces of brick that we found on the ground
from the exterior part of the chimney.
Yes. So there is debris coming off of that. It's not a safety hazard that we're aware of as far as bricks breaking loose. It's smaller than that.
I would be interested in that realm. Just if we are taking it down, could it just come down to a certain point and you just leave it in the middle rather than take it all the way down to the foundation?
Usually it would go below the roof line, and then the roof line would get put back over.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how to save money. You don't need to take it all the way down, but just to a point where you can secure that roof line and keep it intact.
And also the historic element. I was hearing from Historical Society, just take it down enough to make the place functional, but don't completely remove it because it's an artifact.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. So you would want to balance that with the historic preservation folks. Another option would be to stabilize and cap it completely off. If you wanted to, if they feel like it's a primary historical feature.
Right.
I mean, it's set really far back, so I don't know that would be considered primary. I think if you're going to do something with that main arch, that would be primary, but that chimney is probably secondary. So it's a question to ask the State Historic Preservation Office.
And also perhaps the cupola. I don't know what the function of it is, but that's just another question.
Yeah, typically those were used for ventilation. So you see the louvers in there. So the attic would be allowed to ventilate up through that cupola. Whether it's doing that, I couldn't say. I don't think we got all the way back up in there, but that's the purpose of the cupola. Sure. Yeah, so you'd want to keep that.
Because roofs usually have that ridge vent, right?
Yeah.
A regular roof. Slate wouldn't let you do that. Right?
That'd
be tough, right?
That'd be tough. Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen that. Okay. So that's the purpose of the cupola. So it's in addition to being really beautiful and in a statement, it also has a function of ventilation. And I think that would be a primary feature you wouldn't be able to mess with. The last thing I was going to mention is just that the drip line of the roof is such that a lot of damage happens to these windows, like right behind us, because of that drip coming down, snow dripping on it and accumulating over time, that these windows take a beating. So we're seeing sill rot in those areas, and that's where leaks kind of come in and it gets less comfortable over time. So that was another thing that was mentioned.
Is it direct water landing or is it indirect splash?
It's all of it. So it's coming down, it's splashing, it's infiltrating down through the ground, and snow is accumulating and probably bunching up onto it if you get a heavy snowfall or it's called avalanching when it kind of sloughs off the roof. So those are all the things that are contributing to that issue along both this side and that side of the building. Yeah. And those windows are historic and would likely need to be preserved as they are. So these are just the other elevations. We'll scoot through that. Then these were some suggested plans that were done as a way to try to understand how this would look once things are remedied. And it just talks about the handicap parking spaces, considering doing something around the edges to hold snow, whether that's roof guards, reinforcing the roof structurally, those kinds of things to try to mitigate some of these problems, redoing the septic tank, putting in a trash enclosure, things like that. And then these plans look at basically an option of how to address some of the programmatic concerns. So in the room we're in now, we would shift this wall over, create a conference room, the lister's office, and then this would get opened all the way up to this side. And this was a feasibility study, so it's just a really rough, high idea of one thing that could happen. We haven't done an extensive programming review. On this level, I believe we were looking at basically keeping things as is. We do show on, I know there was talk about different things on the stage that we felt that was a primary space and it'd be tricky to alter that. So that got left alone. But things can change. I mean, obviously the makeup of the board.
The lift for the stage, correct?
Yeah, that was one thing.
Is that on the schematic there? I don't think so.
Yeah, a new lift. That's what
it was. There it is. I see it.
And that was in the location where that current closet is. So we try to make it a discrete location. And it's not fully designed or anything. It's just like a note on a drawing at this point. And then I think that there would also be a new elevator here. And that's another thing that Brennan had received some information on from Otis. They have a retrofit package that they can do. I think that was in the $200,000 range. So it costs some money. And I believe that you have the automatic door openers on the front now as well. So some of that accessibility things have been addressed. And just going down through. So that leads us kind of to the the options here. So I'll try to zoom in on this so you can see it. And these were the immediate items that we looked at. I'll just I won't read through them. You can kind of just read them. So what's been done is the heating system at the top. Falling brick is a high priority, I would still say. Door hardware has automatic door openers. And the elevator, we know what that cost is, and that can be acted upon. There is an active bid out there for that. The slate roof has been inspected, and you guys approved the mid-range repairs to that. So that's kind of where this immediate action is from last time we met. And then if we go on to option 1, whoops, can't undo that. This works. Oh, it's going to zoom again. Sorry, I got to get out of my hand. So option 1. So this was limited short-term improvements. So these are in addition, these are cumulative kind of things. So in the first one, we didn't talk about septic other than just mentioning it on the site, but replacing the main line to reduce the bend. And then you'll see like on the next option, it would be to replace or lower it. So there, you could do something now to improve it, and then you could do something more in the future. Then we talk a little bit about the building envelope, windows, brickwork, foundation, and roof, the things that keep the elements out of the building, trying to improve those. And then mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Item 1 there has been done, replacing those boilers. I think the thermostats were relocated. That's been done. Dehumidification, these were to help in the swing seasons when you get warm and cold air in the same day, try to mitigate some of that humidity that can come in, especially late in the summer, spring. Lights, did some of that get done?
You've not done that?
Not the lights yet. Okay, I know I think I had a call that someone was looking at that, but I don't, yeah, so that's been investigated a little bit. Ventilation would be more comprehensive. To get ventilation here would be a complete system upgrade. Sprinklers, just making sure that these heads are adequately spaced and looked at. Air conditioning, that's those Slim Jim units you have now are really at the end of their life, and thinking about what those would be if you were to replace them. Efficiency Vermont does have rebates, but they're dwindling. I would say it's fair to say they're harder to get. But if you did a comprehensive package with air sealing, I could see them looking at some things that they would fund. I know air sealing is still one of them, so you could probably get something for those. And then the program are the items that would change the configuration of the building, and that's a whole conversation about what can be done there. But you can see the list there of items that are mentioned.
I'd like to move quickly to the next discussion.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let me just touch quickly on option 2 and 3. So then this is the next level. You're replacing septic, the building envelopes. It's a little more, now it's getting insulation on it in addition to just touching up the outside and making that better. You have a higher level of mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We're doing some structural repair. And then there's more movement in the program. In other words, there's more, it's going to cost more to do that. That option 3 is very looking well ahead and looking at how do we get to net zero. There need to be partnerships for solar and that kind of thing. So this is like the biggest goal you could have, and it builds on these other ones. Now, instead of just insulating, we're insulating very well to get to a net zero level. We're air sealing very well, and that minimizes the amount of HVAC you have to put in the building. So that's kind of where we were at the last meeting. In terms of how we've kind of come from last year to this year, what steps have been made. And I think just to reiterate, the last time I was here, we were looking at considering doing a master planning exercise to think holistically about what's the right fit out of these three or four. There could be another option that we haven't even explored yet. where do we go from here? So that's kind of, now I'm here to listen to your thoughts on where that goes and what the community could support.
So I've got a question on the septic. You've mentioned the maybe the inadequate bend of the pipe into the main tank. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And then you've mentioned also the potential for backup and maybe lowering the tank.
Yeah.
Relative to grade, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So are these like sort of optionals, or are they defective properties of the current system?
I think it was scoped. I believe the septic system was scoped, and what that means is they put a camera down there and look at it, and there was a bend noted, and then it appears like it may not be adequate at an adequate depth and may cause backup. The other problem that could be there is that the leach field is not working adequately either.
Is there a leach field?
There might not be.
I don't think there is.
It's pumped on a regular basis.
Oh, it gets pumped.
It's a
Okay.
tank.
Oh, there's no.
So then if it fills up, then you have the problem with backups because there's no leach field. So that's the problem. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
So even if you lowered it, it would still back up if you don't pump it adequately.
Right.
Yeah.
And the bend in it was causing, if a lot of people flushed a lot of stuff down the toilet, like toilet paper, it had the potential to clog.
Sort of jam up in that spot.
So then you get backups from a lot of use. I don't know if as long as you're pumping it, then that shouldn't be a problem. You could probably just leave it as is and just get rid of the bend, most likely. So that's why we've made it incremental. Take care of the bend, see what happens.
Yeah.
And pump it regularly. If that's not dealing with it, then you've got a bigger problem. Whether it's a depth problem, it doesn't sound like that's the problem. It sounds like the bend is more the problem from what I've heard.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Is it rated for number of occupants in the building? Is that how they?
For a
When it was installed,
building,
which I obviously.
yeah, I'm not a septic expert, so I don't know how they do that. So it sounds like there's an agreement with the state where you're allowed to pump it, and you just take care of it, and that's how it's been.
Okay.
So yeah, as long as you're pumping it,
So the regular pumping kind of negates the whole occupancy.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not being treated on site.
Yes.
So then you're kind of exempt. You're treating it off site and pumping more regularly. So I don't think that would limit capacity.
Try to put a pipe up at the school secretly. So when you were last here, I asked you if you were designing a new town hall, would it look anything like this? And your answer was that we were kind of upside down. That was one of your responses. And given the amount of money that we're thinking of spending on these projects, it made me wonder if you couldn't spend that money and probably more adding to this building or doing a sort of creative solutions that negate many of the expenses that are here. For example, insulating those brick walls and those big windows is really hard and maybe not possible completely, right? I mean, that's a tough project to insulate solid brick walls in this environment and restore the windows and insulate those somehow. If you were to build onto the building, you wouldn't have to do any of that. You could have an insulated enclosure that went outside the building that could contain offices, circulation, public amenities, and insulate the building at the same time. So you're saving all that money that you're able to put into. So that's the kind of thing I'm wondering, like, should we be looking at this a little more creatively? Not that I don't mean that. This is very creative and very good, but that wasn't really what you were asked to do.
No, not originally. Yeah, we were asked to look at sort of the feasibility of the existing building, so to speak, but we haven't done a creative exploration outside the building, so to speak, and just need to know how much land is available, where does parking go. It's more of a site plan study in addition to how does the building work, where does that footprint get added onto. It's a lot more complex in terms of just zoning and traffic flow, curb cuts, water, sewer. Where does everything go on the site on such a small site? But it's an interesting concept to think about for sure.
Do you think it makes sense to do that before we spend this money? I mean,
We can always do that. I was thinking on the drive over that it would be really good to bring on either an estimator or a construction manager to help us think about costs. If that's one of the, I know it drives kind of everything. So just so we can do a cost check on like what does option 1, 2, 3 look like, and option 4, which is this option we're presented with tonight, and kind of get a sense of, are we saving money? Like really do a check on that, if that makes sense. But I mean, it's really up to you to tell me if that's where you want to go. We can certainly come up with something like that. We might need civil engineers also to help us with making sure a fire truck can get in and out, all those kinds of things that we have to do to make sure the building meets the life safety code and the addition, wherever that goes.
Yeah.
Or is it over a structured parking? There's lots of ways we could do it. Yeah. I mean, you could build out this way over the parking. That's where I see room, unless you go that way, but then you're altering roads. And the greens.
Yeah, I'd spoken with Stephen, and he said we could probably go. I mean, the stairway goes all the way out there.
Yeah.
Certainly
There's some room out there for sure.
some room.
Yeah.
And if you remove, say, circulation from this building, the options for providing meeting rooms up front, or what you can do down here, and getting some public offices up there, ground level, might be compelling. My own sense is that if it's a really inspiring idea, people might gather around it.
Sure.
And the cost, yes, the cost is going to matter, but it might be something that.
Yeah, and just to back up to the conversation from last year, I described it as an L. So currently you have the offices in a stack on 3 floors and then spreading out on the basement. So your offices are very non-congruent. They're very, they're just not central to each other. They're very linear, stacked, and elongated along the bottom with the gym stuck right above it. It's difficult to take that configuration and try to consolidate a town office into one space that feels coherent in an L shape. So that's the constraint of this building, because the gym probably doesn't want to be touched so much. So that's the challenge of the building, just the way it's physically laid out. So if we were to say, let's just keep the building the way it is and try to reconsolidate this office in a cohesive space, I think that's what you're saying, Chemo. That's the challenge. Yeah, that could be option 4.
5
or 5 or 6.
Maybe.
Will there be
I
iterations?
guess my question, is this something that interests you or excites you in addition to sort of?
Yeah, I think it's worth
feasibility.
putting all options on the table for the board, making sure they make sense. And if it checks out, then move it forward. Options are going to drop out probably, as always happens. Yeah.
I think it's very intriguing to think about adding to the outer envelope, and as you say, help some of the problems. But I think that the public might want to know, what are the aesthetics of that, and how is the historic look could be interpreted kind of interestingly. It just depends on how you put it all together.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it might look like Tracy Hill's got a sweater on or something like that.
That can be not.
Could be a beautiful
It could be a
sweater.
cozy sweater. But, the aesthetics or how that's done is also important.
Very important.
Yeah.
When you drive to Norwich, you see this building, and you
That's
wonder
iconic building.
what inspires. You want to see. You're really proud of it.
Yeah, it's a civic building. It was built with monumentality in mind. So we wouldn't want to lose sight of that. I think you'd want to be respectful of what it is.
Yeah.
And whatever addition would want to be monumental in the sense that it's a civic, you still get the sense of a civic presentation at the end of that. So that would be the design challenge, is how do you add on to a civic iconic building in a way that doesn't diminish that iconic stature. So that's the design challenge. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Could be, or you could take advantage of the forward-facing historical part and build a modern part off the back of it, like you're saying.
Right. Which we don't own the driveway though. I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, so what would be the next, we're kind of at our 30 minutes.
Yeah.
What would be the next step to keep things moving along between now and maybe the next time we talk about this as a group? Engagement with the community fits in there somewhere soon. But is there a meeting between is there a smaller group that breaks off from this and talks about it first and then leads like a community sort of charrette or whatever the word is, or just like a larger discussion where you can dedicate more time into talking about kind of what people want out of this town hall, what people want it to look like.
Not wanting to put words in your mouth. I'm not going to do that. We're hoping to vote on forming working groups later this meeting. And if we're allowed to form working groups, I'd like to form one that is small working group that can work with you and Brennan on quick ideas. Provide some direction, act as a conduit. Not get in your way.
Okay. Yeah. The last time we met, we talked about public engagement steering committee, and that was still percolating through to try to figure out how that could work. So yeah, once you assemble that group, whatever it may shape or form it may be, or if it's directly with Brennan, we can certainly look at whatever option you'd like to, and we can present you with a proposal to explore that, basically, whatever shape or form it may be.
Is that a suitable format to have a small working group?
It seems like that's what we talked about last time, and it's kind of the way you typically get work done. Is that it's like it'd be difficult to do it in a select board setting. It's just too locked down with other things. But if there's a liaison on that steering committee that can report back the progress, that's how it could happen. I'm happy to come back in and could build in meeting time to do that as well if you want me to. So yeah, we can work with you in whatever shape or form that comes to, and work with that committee. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So some of the priority items you've listed, for instance, something like the windows here on the lower level, that's overdue maintenance. That's stuff that has been let slide and needs to get done quickly, and it doesn't necessarily interfere in any huge way with future plans for the rest of the building. And I think that's got to move forward. That kind of a thing immediately is as soon as possible. So,
especially if these windows are historical and to be preserved.
Yeah, well, the question is, can they be repaired or replaced with something that fits the historical appearance?
So perhaps if we form a working group, we could meet quickly, come back to the board with recommendations to act on these things quickly. Does that make sense?
I think that's right. That we'd want to discuss that in the committee and look at the immediate items and feel out what that liaison person or the board would feel would be actionable, along with Brendan if he's in those meetings, kind of looking at what we can do to accomplish stabilizing what like deferred maintenance. How can we get to that? And then how can we move this other part forward as well? And I think bringing on maybe a contractor or someone that can help price these out so you get an idea of the order of magnitude that you're looking at some level, whenever that comes. I don't know how that fits in yet, but that could fit in somewhere too. Just so we're not dreaming
Too big.
not necessarily too big, but that we're not dreaming incorrectly is what I would say.
Correctly.
Yeah, because we might have a great idea, but a contractor or an estimator might say, yeah, we're just not seeing that work out, or it'd be better to spend your money on this rather than this, just so we're not doing something unwisely is more the point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, Brendan has his hand up.
Yeah, just two things. One, I'm not sure if you see the screen. Linda Gray has had her hand up a little bit. And I had one other before you get to Linda.
I'll stop my share too.
You can speak. There she is.
I'll go out.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I can go after Linda. I just had one comment.
Okay, I thought you meant. Yes.
Thank you very much. I have one general comment and two particular points to note. So the general comment is just, here's one resident's vote for urging you to go for the option that includes the most and best energy improvements, because I think that I feel very strongly that those are going to pay off in the long term. So it's worth doing. And then particular things is, I believe, from our work on the 2020 proposal, the parking lot is in fact not owned by the town. It's owned by Cheryl Herman with Remax. So that is, you would have to make some arrangements if you wish to expand into the parking lot. The other thing is, I wanted to alert you, and this comes from our shared energy coordinator. In addition to the Vermont Bond Bank, there's now a loan fund. You all may remember the term MERP, which is Municipal Energy Resilience Program, and we got an energy assessment of the building and stuff through that. And all along, there was plans for that program to include a revolving loan fund. And in fact, they are getting that stood up. So that's something that Harry will be keeping his eye on and knowing a lot about. So you should just have that in mind, that some funding options in Vermont are available. They're not grants, they are loans, but they would be very low interest.
Fantastic. Thank you.
So my only comment was going to be as far as like short-term, like priority maintenance issues. I am concerned about our elevator, and I've mentioned that on numerous occasions. We just had another period there where it was out of service for a fairly short period of time before Otis could come in. And the year before that, it was out for a longer period of time. So I just wanted to let folks know, we looked at the cost there. We're paying a monthly service charge to Otis, which some of the work that they do is covered under that. That's about $4,000 annually. And then between from the start of fiscal year 2025 through now, we've spent about $6,000 on repairs that fell outside of that service contract. So it's a big ticket as far as, $180,000 to $200,000, but that might be something for us to move on quickly. And again, my concern is always, if that goes down and it's kind of a catastrophic failure, we are not ADA compliant and we have real issues there. So especially the way we're configured, as Doug pointed out, with the offices really relying on an elevator for somebody with disability issues.
Probably be brought up as a agenda item.
Well, that could certainly be, or the working group could look at that again. I just wanted to make sure folks were aware of that concern again.
Great. So we've got a long meeting. So I guess I don't think we need a motion here, but I think you'll be hearing back from us quickly. I really appreciate you coming in, getting re-engaged. Sure. And look forward to whatever comes next.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. I will grab a cookie since it looks so good.
I'm sorry, my wife cooked the cookies tonight.
Oh, no.
I've given her credit.
That's what it looks so good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Terrific. On to number 5. I'd like to introduce John Carroll, a citizen of Norwich, who's generously offering.
Were the listers going to go?
They were going to go after number 5.
Okay, thank you.
John is a citizen who generously offers his time and wisdom to the Select Board. I've asked him to discuss with us how our Select Board could and should understand the open meeting law and engagement of executive sessions. He has worn many hats. After college, he consulted state and federal agencies on public policy and administration, later worked with European companies, helping them bring advanced technologies to North America. He then put on the hat of a farmer builder, moving to Royalton to develop a design build company. He was an early innovator in solar and heating conservation. And if that wasn't enough, in 1988, he was elected to the Vermont Senate. He served for a decade in many important roles. He served the town of Norwich as well as town moderator, member of the Board of Civil Authority, Board of School Directors, Board of Directors of the Norwich Public Library, among other positions. He moved to Norwich, lives on the Pompanesett River. There's a lot more, but I think it's enough to establish he's got street cred in Norwich. And I'm delighted and honored to host him here for discussion with the select board. There won't be public comments. Your request.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Shall I start?
You may.
I'm going to time myself because I think, yeah, exactly. I'm reminded of Adlai Stevenson, who was candidate for presidency in 1952, I think. I'm the only person in the room who knows that, was alive and paying attention. And Stevenson spoke once to a gathering during his campaign, and he went in and said, I came to speak and you came to listen, and if I'm not careful, you'll finish before I do.
Good point.
So I'll try to move right along. Thank you for the introductions, very kind and very generous. I want to begin by just saying thank you, each of you who have stepped forward to do this work. It ain't easy work sometimes, is it? And there's just a lot of behind the scenes preparation that you either do or should do. People just see the meetings, but you read a lot of materials beforehand. Your chair, of course, and you know as well, there's an enormous amount of backstage work that the chair does to make a meeting happen effectively. So, I mean, I just want you to know, I just start from a place of regard and respect. I've done stuff like what you've done, serving in the Senate and stuff like that. And it's worth doing, and it's hard. I want to we're here to talk about, or I'm here to talk about executive session and how it works here, and frankly, how it could be working better. But we'll get to the better part in a bit. I just want to sort of review some basics about this stuff. All the rules about everything you do, in fact, is written by the legislature. You are a town, a municipality is a creature of the state. I know a former member used to speak to you about Dillon's rule, and that's what Dillon's rule means. We're one of about 38 states that are structured in this way, where towns' authority to do stuff is very constrained and delimited by state law. So the state sets the rules, and it's your job, of course, to live by those rules. And sometimes they're a real pain in the butt, but a lot of times they serve as good guidance. Let me just talk about where the state comes from. It's a saying that democracy dies in the dark. And I think in these times, that's perhaps a more relevant saying than ever before. And in Vermont, the state has always placed enormous importance upon transparency, so that we elected servants, I once in the Senate and you here now, you for 12 years, are expected to conduct yourselves in this way that's strictly in compliance with state law. And the public has the eyes to see that. And it's a core principle of Vermont law, probably of most states, but I'm not so familiar with other states. But it's just a really important thing to value. And so you're very familiar with the open meeting law, for example. I'm sure you are, and if you are not, please remedy that right away. And the open meeting law specifies very clearly that meetings shall be open, and you must warn in advance, and you must accommodate people. You can see all the emphasis in state law and in your work in making yourselves available to the public. And yet reality sets in and says, there are some things that if you talk about them before they're kind of mature and ready to be public, need to be talked about offline, in private. There are almost inevitably such things. And that, of course, is what executive session was created for. And it's fair to say, and some courts have almost said these words, the legislature didn't make it easy. And you could say, yeah, you notice that?
Right. It's challenging.
I don't think that's an accident. I can't not read what was in the mind of legislators perhaps 75 years ago who
created the open meeting law and the exemption for, maybe not the open meeting law itself, but created the exemption for executive session. But to do it in compliance with the state's laws, the guardrails, is very tricky. And I think I see Mary shaking her head. She's been around doing this 12 years, and you know it's not easy. But that I would postulate, and I don't know this for a fact, that is, if not intentional, it's fortuitous. It's so that the default behavior of all public boards, including this one, is openness, and the rare exception is to be a private conversation, a secret session, if you will. By the way, I didn't say at the outset I'm not an attorney, and I want to be very clear about that. I am not. It's one of the many defects in my life. I'm not an attorney, and so nothing I say constitutes authoritative advice of any sort. It's just a very experienced person who's dealt with the law. I want to just say a little bit about the law. I think a lot of people think about the law the way some people think about budgets and numbers. You know, we've all known somebody who says, "Oh, I just can't do budgets. I just hate numbers. I'm no good at it." I try to say at home, I'm no good at doing dishes, but it doesn't fly. And frankly, I think the claim that I'm no good at numbers cannot fly if you're going to take on a position like on this board. It may not be easy for you, but it's something you've got to get good at. Similarly, the law. I think a lot of people feel like the law is dry, it's impenetrable. I want to just remind you that the law in Vermont is written by people like each of you, ordinary, not ordinary, but people without special qualifications. I've written law. I had no qualifications to do so. You do have access to attorneys, staff attorneys, who assist you in clarifying it and cleaning it up. The law is written by ordinary Vermonters for ordinary Vermonters. So if you have some feeling about, geez, I really hate to look at that stuff, remember, it is comprehensible to you. If you can read a good, serious novel, you can read the law. And you may need to read it 2 or 3 times to really get it. And I want to urge you, if you hesitate to read the law, please get with it, because everything you do must comply with the law. And if you don't know what the law says, you're flying blind and you may be breaking the law. So let me just talk a little bit about now executive session generally. This board, and I don't mean this present board, but recent iterations of this board have relied upon executive session quite a lot. What's quite a lot? I don't know, probably a lot more than many towns. Just quickly, I can tell you that in 22 to 23, that is, I do your years from March of one year to February of the next, so that we can see the regime change, if you will. In 22, 23, there were 33 executive sessions in only 12 months. Now, keep in mind that typically you might have 24 regular sessions plus 3 or 4 extra sessions, special sessions, budget sessions. So call it 30. You might have 30 meetings a year. And in that year, every meeting had at least one executive session, more or less. Not that they got bunched out, but they had 33 executive sessions in 30 meetings. The next year, 23, 24, 35 executive sessions. Keep in mind that an executive session average, the length of them is 45 minutes to an hour and 15. So you're talking about a lot of hours. I think one of the things that we forget about is you're talking about a lot of hours of an empty room. For Norwich citizens who care enough about their government to come and sit in this room or to sit at home, but particularly to come and be here, and they sit in an empty room while you go off somewhere to do your executive sessions. It's necessary to do it sometimes, but there are prices being paid. And so we just, please be conscious of that. Subsequently, in the year 24, 25, different chair now, Four executive sessions, down from 35 the year before. And in the most recent year was 12. So, by the way, those 12 executive sessions last year, kind of ending just a couple of weeks ago, 778 minutes, 13 hours. So about an hour per meeting, roughly, or an hour per session, per executive session. And there were only 12 in a year in which, again, probably there were 30 meetings. So you can see a trend here, and it's a trend in the direction of fewer, which many might think is a good idea. And in the current year, the one you are now in, you have 2 already, but I think none tonight, if I recall correctly. So it seems like a lot of executive sessions. There are some towns that never go into executive session, according to the Secretary of State. I don't know that firsthand, but the Secretary of State says so. And I frankly have not done the research so that I can give you comparative numbers about other towns. But again, it's just sort of that business of openness and transparency are the highest order of principles. And every time we go into executive session, we abrogate that. Maybe for good reason, but there's a price being paid. And then there's a whole bunch of people sitting and waiting for you to come back. So you do a fair amount, although the trend is in a diminishing direction, which some of us would regard as healthy. And you could do the better. Okay, I mean, show me any part of my life that I couldn't do better, and I know you're not telling the truth. You can do it better, and so what I'm here for, more than anything, is to look with you at some of your procedures, if you will, and talk about ways that they could be improved. So I'm sorry, I'm not so technical as the previous presenter. All I do is have pieces of paper. And Mr. Chairman, I'll make this available to the board for its record, if you wish, in the electronic form or something like that. We can talk about that later.
Be in correspondence as well.
Yeah.
Speaking of transparency.
If you wish, yeah. So this piece is called 3 Concerns About Executive Session. And I'll just start at the beginning. Democracy dies in darkness, and the open meeting and public transparency are core principles. And I've said all this, and you use executive session, which is a retreat from openness, but one trusts that it's for very good purposes, a fair amount here. In looking at the record, I see 3 opportunities for improvement. One at the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end. The one at the beginning is much easier for me to talk about because we get to see it. That's when you go into executive session, you have a conversation that leads to that, you make a public motion, then the door closes and nobody knows what happens after that. But at least we know quite a lot about what the first part looks like. I'm going to have to guess to talk to you about what the second and third parts look like, because I can't, well, I could see the third part. I know what you do when you come out. The middle part, the time you're in an executive session is probably the most important part, and it's invisible to us, okay, as it has to be. But I want to just ask you to take a moment and read, and I'll just yammer along as you do so, how the board you justify entering executive session. And the law says that you must give a specific reason for entering executive session, not a reason that it'll turn out bad if we don't. Why are we going in? What is it we're going to be addressing that is of such confidential nature that it must be done behind closed doors? So I'll speak more in greater particularity about that. The second piece is, what do you do in executive session? One question you might ask yourself is, why did it take so darn long? an average of an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes in a rare occasion verging on 2 hours in executive session. Again, people sitting and waiting. It seems kind of unhealthy. And then the third piece is, what do you do when you come out? So if you let's see, do I have to give you I have to give you the next thing. This is stuff I whipped together. If I got editorial errors, I apologize. I wasn't very specific about that. And two, is that two there? Okay. So this is a general, the first page of this, there are several pages here, but let's take them, if you will, in the order that as I discuss them. The first page sets forth 2 legally binding constraints that should inform you about entering an executive session. The first is that the state law, the open meeting law, uses the following words: a motion to go into executive session shall indicate the nature of the business of the executive session. Not the nature of what could go wrong, but the actual nature of why you're going in there talking about. The second one is, that's Vermont statute. That's the law we talked about. The second case is case law. There was a Supreme Court case in 1992 called Trombley versus Trombley versus Bellows Falls, and the court found in that case that the school board, I think it was, never actually said why they were going in, what it was they were going to talk about. So you have to talk about, you have to somehow convey, without obviously trampling on the confidentiality that you're after, you must somehow convey what it is you plan to talk about. Notice what the Supreme Court has to say. The court says, it is not unworkable for a public body to make a careful analysis of the need before going into executive session. The party that was brought into court had said, oh, it's just too hard. I mean, how do you talk about something that you're not supposed to talk about? Yep, it's hard. And it's got to be that way. And then finally the Secretary of State makes some observations confirming what we all know. You must, in open session, indicate its reason for going into executive session. I'm going to just now turn to, if you were to page 1 or 2, next page, called Improving the Select Board's Decision-Making About Entering Session. At the beginning here, I copy from the minutes a very typical motion that this board uses to go into executive session. Without any prior explanation as to what it is you're going to talk about, what the subject is, you say, I move to find the premature public knowledge of attorney-client. It all sounds very, very similar. I'm sure you may wake up with nightmares of that verse ringing in your ears. The problem with that is you're not using the language correctly. You misuse the expression find. The board actually has found nothing. You merely are making an unsupported assertion that you have found something. A finding, now this is Oxford English Dictionary, at least Brendan will like this. A finding is a conclusion reached as a result of inquiry, investigation, or trial. Of course, we're not doing trials here, but you certainly could do inquiry and investigation. And from that, you could say, all right, these are the circumstances that cause us to feel that we must therefore go into executive session. That would be your finding. A finding is a conclusion based upon facts and analysis. It is not a mere assertion. I find that it's a great day today. Well, it might in fact be pouring outside. That would be an assertion without any justification. That's what you do. So all I'm trying to get at here is that, frankly, I don't want to be brutal about this, but the truth is, I'm quite clear that you are violating state law. It's not intentional. I think I have any doubt that everybody is doing all this in good faith, but you are not abiding by the letter of the law, which requires you to find, and that means you need to gather factual information. And by the way, you need to describe it. And by the way, you must not withhold relevant information which is public. And you must know where I'm going with this. The fact that you've met, I think, once in the previous administration, at least once, and once in this administration about the Trussell v. Norwich case, and did not disclose the name of the case, is frankly baffling. That is a public document. I mean, sometime in January, my wife at Sunday breakfast handed me the whole damn thing. I have it here somewhere in my phone, all 9 pages of it. Look at this, she said. The whole town could have done that. It is public. So why you are hiding out from naming what it is you're dealing with is difficult to understand. And it seems to be kind of a culture of avoidance that I've seen at other times on this board that I would really encourage you to move past. Let me talk now about page 2 of 2. And this is about ways that you could improve your entering into, I'm sorry, the page number is sort of weird, but you're with me. Page 2 of 2, decision. It's improving the board's decision-making abilities, methods, or really procedure. Remember, number 1, openness and transparency must always be the default objective of meetings. Occasionally matters arise, boundaries of openness might be curtailed, but if in doubt, err on the side of openness. Be skeptical of urgings to go into executive session. Correct that for me, please. Number 3, be skeptical of urgings to go into executive sessions by attorneys or town employees. Their interests in these matters and their obligations under the law are different than yours.
Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah. An attorney is under no obligation to honor the law of the state's intention that these be open meetings. It's not in his interest at all. It's infinitely more convenient for an attorney to speak to you in private. Well, vastly more convenient. Moreover, an attorney has a different financial interest in the matter than you do. And the same, and so as a general matter, of course, listen to your attorneys. Of course, listen to town employees who advise you and make up your own mind. Work to find a way to address difficult issues in a well-managed public discussion. Sometimes that's possible. Lots of towns do that. In a discussion from which the public must be excluded appears to be unavoidable, the request to enter executive session must be specific, fact-based, and must comply scrupulously with Vermont state and case law, which you're not doing now. And in making the case for going into executive session, all relevant information that is public should be disclosed. For example, the name of the case that you've been dancing around for several weeks now. And if in doubt, assert your authority to vote against a motion to enter executive session. Let's talk about how you conduct an executive session. I'm going to try to move quickly here. The law is very clear that you must limit your conversation to the topic you said you were going to go in and talk about. You must not talk about public information that's readily available to the public. For example, there is no point in your spending a lot of time talking about what state law says. None. That is public information. I have a feeling, I don't know this, that one of your executive sessions last 2 weeks ago involved perhaps a whole lot of talk about what regulations you should have or do have or don't have, or guidelines, or what state law might provide. I may be quite wrong about that, but if that is the case, it's not appropriate in public meeting, in an executive meeting. That's public. That's a conversation you could have in public. Okay. It was tricky in that case because there was, as I understand it, a potential lawsuit. You can perfectly well talk about a potential lawsuit without naming or indicating in any way who the party is that might bring such a suit. And if people want to speculate about it, tell them to do it outside this room. So I think you're just erring on the side of, oh, I hate to talk about this in public. I mean, we might make a mistake. Just not liking to talk about these things in public doesn't cut it. It's a tough job. This is not like your conversations with the family at home. If you're somebody, not like me, who likes to avoid controversy, this is a tough job for you because controversy is part of the work. So it's not easy, it's hard. So just quickly, what I would say is that I encourage you to make some provision to have confidential documents made available to the board, but in a way that is secure. It shouldn't be rocket science to do that. So that the critical thing is that I think a lot of times you're not getting the documents out to people before the executive session. So you get some out, but I'm just feeling like you're going into these sessions and seeing stuff for the first time. That's a vast waste of time. It's no more justifiable than you having a budget discussion and you haven't sat down to study the budget material beforehand. I would trust that you spent significant time looking at all of the briefing documents that you have for other matters. You should be given those briefing documents that are confidential in a controlled way, and you must study them. To spend time paying an attorney and making the public sit alone in this room while you read for the first time a document and try to get your head around it, that's really the amateur hour. You got to do better than that. Remember, you cannot talk about something that's not on the reason for going in. You know that. And you know that you can't make any decisions. But you can see if there's consensus among them. Can't take any votes about it, but you can, your chair especially has the duty of trying to find, what are we going to say when we get out? Is there a motion here where we want to say, I mean, for example, your attorney gives you 3 optional approaches to the next response in the case of Ms. Trussell, hypothetical. And the attorney is you're looking to understand the options she's laying out, because you know the case, you read the thing 2 or 3 times, you know what it's all about. He's going to give you 3 options about, we could do this, we could do that, we could do that. Which would you prefer? And the chair would say, well, let's call that one option 1, this is option 2, this is option 3. Which is it? And the sense of the meeting, you best not to do a nose count even, but if the sense of the meeting, and this is the chair's job to see if you can extract consensus, okay, it looks like option 2. All right, good. So before you leave the meeting, you say, okay, looks like option 2. When we leave the meeting, and we'll get to this. Well, let's get to it then. But you'll then maybe make a motion that the board could come out and make a motion about this and say, the board considered 3 options that were presented by the attorney, and you don't talk about what they are, because that's obviously confidential. And it shows what the board calls option 2. Doesn't tell people much, but at least it says you made some damn progress and you went from 3 to 2 to 1. Now let's talk about what happens after the executive session. Once you return to the place of the public meeting, the chair, I'm sorry, back up. It might be that in the meeting, it might be that you collectively feel like it'd be good if we did a public motion. Err on the side of doing a public motion, even if it doesn't tell them very much. At least show them that you made a decision. Nobody knows what option 2 is, but at least it shows that you talked about the topic at hand. You were presented with some options, and you chose one. And if that's the case, the chair needs to sort of survey the board to see, are you willing to make a motion about that before you leave the meeting? And if yes, who'd like to make the motion? So Matt says, well, okay, I'll do it. All right, then you get out of there. Come back to public session. You do the usual vote of returning to public session. And then the chair should, now we're on this page 1 of, I think, yeah, it's called 1 of 1. I'm sorry for the name. Oh, that's me. It's the last one of the 4 here. The chair takes command when you get back. Go back into public session, and then the chair should, if at all possible, give a summary. I think in all cases should. It may have to be very oblique, but to not give any summary at all just does not sit very well with people, and it's, I think, kind of a disservice. Like, you're coming back and you're not going to tell me anything? You can at least say, well, we met with our attorney and he presented 3 options and we couldn't make up our mind. Or you can at least say that. If there is agreement to put a motion on the table, then you turn to Matt, who offered to do it, and Matt says it, and somebody seconds it. You have a vote. Okay, and then at that point, you are ready to go back to the next item on the public agenda. Okay, so that's that. The last thing I want to leave you with is this compendium here. Gotta get you yours. Sorry. And this is, I guess, just me trying to make it easy for you to navigate your way around in Vermont statutes. For some of you, BSA is very new. For others of you, you know it pretty well. This has really the key statutory provisions that govern open meeting and in particular govern executive session. The second one I want to bring to your attention, because you were meeting about public records the other day, I just sort of browsed around in statute to see what it has to say. And there's a statement here. This is right at the beginning of a statement of policy about access to public records. And I love this statement. Officers of government are trustees and servants of the people, and it is in the public interest to enable any person to review and criticize their decisions, even though such examination may cause inconvenience and or embarrassment. That's kind of a dope slap, I think, at least for me, to think of that you really have to be willing to put yourself out there and take what comes. So long as the public is being courteous and fact-based in their criticisms. So that's what I wanted to leave you with. I wanted to say, again, you're doing good work. You are. My daddy would have said you're doing the Lord's work. I'm not so sure any of us rise to that level. But you are doing important, and it's really hard. I mean, people think it's maybe a walk in the park, and maybe you thought it was when you signed up for this. And sometimes in cases like this, it's not a walk in the park. It's really hard. So I just want to acknowledge you for your work. This is about saying, I have a lot of confidence and a lot of respect for you, and I'd love to help you just clean up your act a little bit about executive sessions. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Do you have time for a question or two?
I have time, but I'm not sure you do. But
Keep moving things along, but I'm curious, is there any reason, if we go into executive session, it's often to meet with a lawyer along. Is there any reason to not invite the lawyer to join us in the public session to help explain why we might need to go into executive session?
Great question. And the answer is there is no reason. Let me, yeah. In fact, the more you could do of that, the better. I mean, just as when you're grappling with, speeding in town, you want to talk with the police chief about it. You want to talk with the guy who's sort of presumably somewhat expert on the topic. And certainly an attorney, if you've hired him, must be expert on the topic. And having him address things in public to the extent that that can be done without stepping on confidentialities and people's reputations and things like that, it's great to do. So let me just clarify something. There seems to be a lot of reverence around here about the client, the lawyer-client,
attorney-client privilege.
Attorney-client privilege. Not a lawyer, but I did a little research and I've talked to some lawyers, and the lawyers who have nothing to do with all this. And keep in mind that the attorney-client privilege is for the convenience of the client. You get to decide whether or not you want to exercise that privilege. You may at any time say to the attorney, we don't want to be meeting with you in private about this topic. We want to have that in public. Now, the attorney may object and he may advise you not to, but you are the ones who have that authority. It is only the client's authority to determine whether a discussion with an attorney is in private or in public. Quite interesting. I never knew this before. But so what I'm getting at is there is this attorney-client privilege thing that goes on in the discussions here, as though, well, because we're talking to an attorney, we have to do it in private. No, we don't. Many times, of course, it's absolutely the right thing to do. But if it's not necessary to protect confidentialities, you're better off to do it in public because you can. Err on the side of public, go into private when it's absolutely unavoidable.
I notice you put away your clock. That means you've gone over time.
I'm on your time now.
That's it.
Any other questions? It's been very useful to me. Thank you.
A lot to think about. Thank you.
Thank you all for what you're doing.
Much.
Particularly as a newcomer, John. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Right, take care.
Okay, no motion required. Let's move on to number 14, which is the move to number 5.5, which would be the Board of Listers request. Closure of past grand lists. I welcome Mr. Cheryl Lindbergh.
Thank you. I sort of lost track too where we stuck it, but I appreciate you moving it forward. Basically, the memo was in the packet. We're doing some housekeeping work. We got the tip from the PVNR newsletter. We looked back, we found we hadn't, and a lot of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the professionals were in charge at those times. So we won't dwell on that topic, but we're going to clean it up and hope that you all feel comfortable. Happy to answer a question if there's any.
I assume you come back to us when the most current one needs to be closed. But
and in fact,
it's standing things right now.
Correct. So there's 3 outstanding pieces of litigation, of which I hope we hear about you going into executive session on that someday, because the listers would love to be a part of that. I'll put that plug in. But again, 2026 grand list could close, and the 25 that stays open for years, right? So that's the part that we have to remember is when there is no outstanding litigation, we get it closed. But it couldn't be a prior one still open. Yep.
So we've all read it. I think what do we need to do here?
Would you remind me, Cheryl, of the dates or the date range of the ones that are still open?
Absolutely. Got them right here. Wrote that piece of paper. Oh, it's right here. The ones that are open are 11, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24.
The consecutive. Oh, no, we're not. Yeah, okay. 11, 12, 15, 16. Wait a minute. It's 11, 12, 15, 16
Yes.
jumps.
Yep.
Then 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24.
Correct. And each of these documents, Ernie and I signed when this was brought to your attention, and they're all dated at the top. So you'll know which grant list it is that we are closing. We'll fill in the other blanks, and it goes to the town clerk. As you may or may not know, the town clerk is the official keeper of the grand list. It does not get destroyed, and it's in the vaults. So we were able to go there and find out which ones. I'm happy to leave these for later when you're signing documents. I'm not asking you to do it this very minute, but I can leave these with the chair if that's your pleasure. Anything else you have questions on?
No question. Do we need a motion?
I think we do, right? To approve this, right?
It doesn't say that you do, but I certainly am not going to.
It's part of the record if we do.
Sure.
Someone like to make a motion?
How do we do this? I move, let's see. I move
to sign
that the
11.
select board approve closing past grand lists from 2011, 2012, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2022, 2023, and 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote. Clausen,
Yes.
Leighton,
Yes.
here,
Yes.
Sweat,
Yes.
and I'm a yes.
I'll leave these with
Terrific.
here.
That was seconded by Sweat. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We each, okay, terrific. Thank you. Okay, next up is we need to review applications to boards and commissions and appointments. And I guess we just go in order of the applications we have in front of us. Yes. I'm sorry. You may be recognized.
Smith. In looking at the applications that are in the packet for this evening, I see that there is an application for the EC Fiber Governing Board, but I don't find that on your list of open applications that were advertised.
Usually in April, if I may answer it. If I do in April, and I'll be gone at the time when it might.
But it wasn't advertised, and in the name of consistency, as the board expressed at the last two meetings, I would ask that this be postponed until it can be
Oh, absolutely.
properly advertised. The other thing I would like to bring up is that we have a board member who is a sitting voting member of at least two committees. And so I'm wondering if that's appropriate to leave that situation, or if maybe that board member should become a liaison to those committees rather than a voting member.
Good question. From the research I did, my understanding is it is okay to stay on a committee, but to recuse yourself if the business from that committee comes before the board. I may be wrong about that. But
I think the practice of the board has been to appoint liaisons rather than leave the board member as a voting member.
And do others have experience with this?
Can you be more specific?
Energy committee and the energy working group or something of the planning commission.
Okay. Can you reiterate the concerns again? I'm a little slow here.
Whether a select board member should be a voting member of a committee that is appointed by this board.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
Conflict of interest.
Well, potential conflict. They're certainly not great optics.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
think about it. I don't know.
Just information, Rob Gear and I have talked about this, and I did a little research. I couldn't find anything
Go ahead.
You felt it wasn't an issue, but you've had the chance to step off if you wanted to, hasn't done that. So I think this is something we need to determine. I couldn't find any statute.
I just thought I would bring it up for your consideration. And the other one was on the EC fiber board. So I appreciate your time.
We had a raised hand from.
I came in late here. I ran up to grab some more folders. Were we talking about the EC fiber governing board or something else?
That's not due yet, but
That's not due yet, so we're not going to vote on that.
Let's just remind folks that that's not due. Okay.
It'll be advertised.
But the other part, did Brendan hear that about the energy committee?
and his energy planning and the energy committee. I'm not sure what my status should be yet.
Well, there's no risk in becoming a liaison.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably have the same effect.
That's true. That seems like a graceful way to resolve that. Yeah.
So perhaps we can request that. Okay. Thank you, Pam.
Sure. Thank you.
Appreciate the attention. All right, back to review of applications. We have before us an application by Alex Gottlieb for the Norwich Conservation Commission. So, oh, you're on the screen. You're so flat. Hi, would you like to say a word? I mean, we don't need much, but please.
Yeah, no, sorry, I couldn't be there in person. Yeah, I just, I've really enjoyed my 4 years on the commission. I think there are kind of a lot of exciting projects that we've been working on in the time that I'm just excited to continue with.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for your work. I'm going to propose that we vote these as a slate at the end, or do you think we need to vote them individually?
That's slate being, I mean, there are two for the conservation committee. Are you talking about everybody?
Approve everyone at the end, or should we vote on each individual one?
Oh boy.
We have 2 for 3 seats.
I think.
So we'll vote on each individual. Okay.
And there's
So
another candidate for conservation committee.
yes, that's the next one. So we also
Andy Torkelson.
Andy Turkelson applying for the same board for a 1-year term. And is
he's not here today.
not here? All right.
Support his Margaret Marin's 96 Meeting House Road.
Maybe come up and say again, just so everyone hears it.
Margaret Marin's 96 Meeting House Road, and I'm currently on the Conservation Commission, and I knew that Andy wouldn't be here, and I'd like to put in a good word for him. He does great work.
Thanks. Okay. This leaves one seat unfilled. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah.
So there's no competition here. Would anyone like to move this along? Thank you for coming.
I move to appoint Alex Gottlieb and Andy Turkelson to the Conservation Commission for terms expiring March 31st, 2030.
Second?
I'll second that.
Terrific. Any discussion? Thank you. No discussion?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's vote. Awesome.
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat? Yes. And I'm a yes. Terrific. Thank you for your service and have fun.
I was glad to know who put out the deer browsing thing near Kyle Mountain.
Yeah.
They're everywhere if you look for them.
Ah, nice.
So we have Alex Gottlieb, Jonathan Frischtick, and Peg Marins for the Ash Borer Management Group for terms expiring March 31st, 2029. Are these competitive or?
There are 3 seats, right?
There are 3 seats for, yes, 3 seats. Okay.
Yep.
So anyone available to speak to this?
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. There. Would you like to come forward?
Jonathan Frischtick, 1249 New Boston Road. Any questions?
Are you continuing with this?
I just know this is my first
And your interest in it, besides saving our town from dreadful accidents, but
I think that's a good
that's
reason.
it, right?
That's a good reason.
Okay.
Okay. You have expertise in this area?
Well, I'm a landowner. I have a degree in geology. I mean, you see my application. In geology, I was an environmental lawyer for a number of years. I was on the Conservation Commission for a number of years, Trails Committee, Norwich Special Places, volunteered at the Land Trust. So
You taught baking,
I taught baking.
which means you're not a borer. So I'm not sure. No, it's great.
That's an impressive array of previous experience.
Yes.
Yeah, I move around a little bit.
Thank you for coming.
Sure. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Stepping up.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Any? Oh, same. It's a yes.
Margaret Marins or Peg Marins. And I am re-upping on the Emerald Dashboard Committee. So I've enjoyed serving in that capacity and serving with a number of others who we've got an RFP out, and I look forward to assisting as in coming years, more analysis and inventory and safety.
And you currently at the Upper Valley Land Trust?
I am.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Great. Any questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
It's all positive.
Thank you.
Shocking. Fantastic. Thanks. Anyone else? Alex Gottlieb.
Yeah, still
Great.
here. Yeah, I've also been on the commission since its inception, so I'm re-upping, and yeah, I just really think it's very important work that we're doing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. You know, have a PhD in climate science, and you know, try to just sort of bring a very data-driven scientific perspective to these things, and appreciate the opportunity to offer that perspective to the town.
We are a lucky town. Thank you. All right. Motion.
Yes.
Move to.
This is the ash borer, right? Okay, I move to appoint Alex Gottlieb, Jonathan Fischdick, and Margaret Peg Merrins, the Emerald Ash Borer Management Group, the terms expiring March 31st, 2029.
Second.
All right, any discussion? No discussion? Let's vote. Classen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And Griggs is a yes. Terrific. And that was seconded by.
Yes.
Terrific. All right, EC Fiber Governing Board, we are putting off. The Energy Committee, we have Mary Albert, who is up there. There you are. Hello, Mary Albert. Would you like to speak to that?
Oh, sure. Thank you. My application is in your packet, but I've lived in Norwich for well over 4 decades, raised my kids here. I have a PhD in engineering and spent my first career at Carroll in polar engineering, and my second career, I'm nearing retirement as professor at the Thayer School. So nearing retirement, I thought it's time for me to give back to the community that I love so much. And I think the Energy Committee is where I have expertise, both in engineering, climate, heat, and mass transfer. So I applied.
Fantastic. Thank you. And well qualified. Any questions? Sound a little overqualified, actually.
All the research?
As seems to happen. Any comments, discussion? We'll move this.
I move to appoint Mary Albert to the Energy Committee for a term expiring March 31st, 2029.
I second.
All right. For a discussion? No, let's vote. Classen.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Here.
Recuse.
Recuse. Sweat.
Yes.
And Griggs. Passes. All right, now Town Service Officer, John Farrell. Must be, do I see John Farrell? I don't. Here, he's a known entity.
Yeah, he's done this. This is a continuation of us. He's been doing well.
I think this is an easy.
Happy to move it.
I'm prepared to second that.
Go for it,
All
guys.
right, I move to appoint John Farrell as Town Service Officer for a term expiring March 31st, 2027.
Second.
Any discussions? Issues? None. Let's vote. Classen.
Yes.
Hayden.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Fantastic. Trails Subcommittee, Jim Fonan, Nick Krems. Who'd like to go first?
It's a hot seat.
You don't have to go.
Yeah, the cookie though, that's the good news. It's the chemo.
I'm Nick Krems, 1396 New Boston Road, Norwich. I want to serve on the Trails Committee, continue serving on the Trails Committee because I like the work.
A great reason.
We're lucky to have you.
Yes, we are. Trails are wonderful. They do need maintenance.
Jackets at Norwich.
Any questions for us? That's good. Right. How about Jim?
Not sure what I can offer, but
But you could get a cookie.
I can tell everybody where they live.
And the trail that connects them to
On Huntley Street. Been in town close to 50. Been on trails for almost 15 years. If anybody sees a sign or a kiosk, whether it's Huntley Field, Huntley Meadows, or the one-room schoolhouse out behind on the Mill Fry, that has my initials on it, or any bridge in town on Ballard or Guile, chances are I had something to do with it.
It's a great legacy.
What's that?
Great legacy.
So I can retire?
Well, maybe.
The legacy is that you're carving initials all over town.
No, he's doing great.
So anyway, but any questions or basically, I just soon continue just to keep the trails safe and maintain things. The trails, and as Nick can attest to, we run a tight budget, and there's a group of volunteers that have been doing stuff for 30 years, and hopefully another 30.
Fantastic. Having gone up Trial Mountain, I think what you guys do, fantastic. Like, I don't know how you haul all that stuff up there and do all that work, but
well, Nick and I did the 350 stone steps, but several years ago. But we had help, Bert and Anyway, we had a pair of Belgians horses, a team. They dragged up everything on a stone boat. And we also used a Maruka. I don't know if you guys know heavy equipment. It's a miniature dump truck on steroids or on tracks. Anyway, and then we've had a lot of volunteer groups, Hypertherm, Mascoma Corp, Tuck School. We've been fortunate to have a lot of groups help us. So.
Is this publicized, like the horses pulling the stones?
It was.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Chad Finer, Chad. He did a lot of photos for those 4 or 5 years. So we're got around, and we try to put out something on the listserv if we do have a project, to let people know we're doing something or we need volunteers, and for the most part things work out very well.
My only advice would be don't ever say retire, because I did that 3 years ago and I'm doing 38 hours a week.
Funny.
Thanks, Jim.
Good to see you. Thanks, Jim. All right, any public discussion, comments? Move this along.
I move to appoint Jim Foran and Nick Brems to the Conservation Commission for terms expiring March 31, 2029.
Second.
Discussion, no discussion, let's vote. Clausen,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
Me, yes. Terrific. Thank you very much for your service. Tree Warden, one seat. Looks like we've got Chris Rimmer. There he is.
Hi, Chris Rimmer, 91 Spring Pond Road. I've been a longtime member of the Conservation Commission, spent an inordinate amount of time on the Emerald Ash Borer Management Subcommittee. I've been a deputy tree warden for the last year, I think the first ever in Norwich, one of two. And I'm prepared to take this challenge on.
Big steel-toed shoes to fill.
I'm not a silviculturalist or an arborist or a dendrologist, but I'm a conservation ecologist, and I know a bit about trees and sort of ecology of the landscape. And I've learned a lot through the Emerald Ash Borer group as well, just about trees along roadsides. And so I'm willing to give it a shot.
Tree warden's just a desk job, isn't it?
We'll see.
I think so. I have to know the trees.
Question. Does Norwich have any particularly famous trees? I mean, what are the trees that
like a big
on
tree,
Main Street? You know, something that people might know by the first names of the tree.
That I do not know.
Oh, that's the first job.
No. I think there are some signature trees in this community. One of them being the big ash right in front of the Marion Cross School, which is a really statuesque specimen that is being preserved through inoculation. Yeah, I can't really answer that. Maybe a year from now, or a few months from now.
The trees along the fence were planted by Bill Ballard, right?
I believe that's true. Well, some of them, maybe not all of them. And the ashes, there are a few ashes there that have also been treated.
All right. Well, we look forward. Yes.
So does the condition of the ash trees make the task of the tree warden harder? I mean, is it mostly to identify dangerous trees, or is there?
Well, it's really, I mean, the subcommittee is dealing with this. I think the tree warden will probably be dealing with trees that are mostly not ash trees.
Okay, so it's sort of all the other trees are still there and they still need monitoring. Okay. Yeah. Good.
I'll be learning as I go, if you approve me.
Just with your experience, it seems like you learned a lot. Already.
On the job training.
Great. Well, I think this
Thank you
You're welcome. Thank you.
for this.
I move to appoint Chris Rimmer as tree warden for a term expiring March 31st, 2027.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion? Competition. Good. Let's vote. Clausen.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. You're elected. I'm sorry. Okay. Trustee of Public Funds, Megan Anderson. Megan.
She's not here.
She's here. Are you speaking for her? Or,
I would like to speak on her
Okay.
behalf. I'm Smith. I am a trustee of public funds, and Megan, as many of you know, is our assistant town clerk, and she's doing a fantastic job of working with Lily, and I think she will be a real asset to the trustees of public funds, and I'm very excited to have her become a member.
Now it's the interim term to fill in for someone else who left.
For a term that expires March 2nd, 2027, it says.
Must be a one-year unexpired term.
Okay.
that was the term that Doug Wilberding served 2 of the 3 years.
Thank you.
He resigned in January. That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it would just be a 1-year appointment. But I wholly support her nomination.
Thank you. Any other comments? None. Anyone?
Just out of curiosity, all of these expire. Oh, never mind. I see that the Board of Listers expires March 2nd. I was just about to say all of them expire March 31st, except for this one, but that's not true. All right, March 2nd.
It's because it's an elected position.
Yeah, right. So it turns over there. Yeah, got it. Now I understood.
Would like to move?
I move to appoint Megan Anderson as a trustee of public funds for an interim term expiring March 2nd, 2027.
Second.
Right, any further discussion? I don't see any. Let's vote. Clausen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
Griggs is a yes. And that was seconded by Gear. Terrific. Thank you. We are at the end of our voting on positions, and we can head to item number 7.
Oh, don't we have?
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Good night.
So Cheryl Lindbergh, just a brief statement. I put into correspondence a email about the Land Management Council position. So I just wanted to make sure that that topic at some point is clear for everybody. That needs to be something that I think the board will work out with the Prudential Committee.
All right. So were there any other positions that have been advertised, that have been applied for that we're not aware of?
This is it for the March.
Okay.
And we're gonna do the April week.
Okay, terrific. So I think we move on to the DPW recommendation for the Route 132 Culvert number 18 replacement project. I will say it seems like a very nicely filled in set of documents. It makes sense to me. We're taking the low recommendations to take the low bid, but to allow for some overage. Is that correct?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah. So up to $200,000. And it looks like the bid was one something or other.
178.
Yeah, 178.
Yeah, Chris is on. He stayed with us there. If you have any specific questions.
I don't personally have any questions. Anybody, anything you'd like to speak to us?
Well, it's a structures grant, and I think this particular structure is woefully deteriorating fast, and this is one of the structures that we need to get completed, as well as do some culvert work and to try to eventually work our way towards doing some rework of the center section of 132. But this is a critical one. It's got no guardrails. It's a significant drop off over, about 16 to 18 feet without any guardrail. So this is an important one, and we got the grant to do it, and I think it's a very worthwhile project, and it fits into the overall plan to try to get a lot of these culverts upgraded before we get into some significant paving projects, which, I haven't had a chance really to speak to the board. I know the board's, some of the folks are new and stuff like that, but I have some, significant paving projects coming up in the next couple of years, and I think it's worthwhile to have a discussion with, so I can have a little time to chat with you guys and with you folks, and kind of see where the DPW is at today, and in terms of like staffing, and we're fully staffed, and we're working hard to try to tackle a number of projects that were not tackled in years past, and as well as the building, which I think you might all know, the building's in pretty not in great condition, and we've had some repairs that frankly, are just repairs. And it's something obviously I don't want to take up the board's time tonight on these, but I think these are important things that we're working towards for the future of the DPW. As well as I just wanted to mention another thing, just to plant a seed, is that, Main Street is a significant feature of the town, and eventually we're going to have to try to tackle the paving of Main Street in the years in front of us. But before we get there, there are some significant engineering that has to be tackled in terms of stormwater, in terms of looking, knowing what needs to be done with the water, with the sidewalks, any beautification, things like that have to be thought about as we look toward the future of Norwich. And, I don't want to spend money, and I don't think it's wise to spend money until we really decide as a community, as you decide what you want to do holistically.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but Chris, why don't we put this on the agenda and have a session? Because these all sound like things we should be talking about, planning ahead for, possibly even forming a working group to focus on very intensely.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up here, but I just wanted to, I don't get a chance to always mention extra things, and I thought I'd just throw it in there. I know it'd have to be a separate item, but anyway, 132, I think is going to be a good project, and we'll get it done, and it'll be done when school is out of session, so it should limit, and we're going to route people around, and everybody will have advance notification and all that stuff, so.
Right. So,
Mr. Chairman, can I make a comment?
Well, yes, in just a second. Chris, in the past, I've asked if maybe we can include a map with these so we know where it is, if it's possible to do that, or refer us to a map. I know you have them all numbered nice and neatly and stuff.
It's like 511, 132.
Yes, 511.
So you can go right on your Google map, and I walk it.
I know I can, but if it's possible, just add a PDF like here it is.
Well, it's nice, but it wasn't not mentioned. Just saying.
Yeah,
if you read closely,
and I know we have the map.
On your phone or something, you got a map. But just saying, it wasn't left out.
Oh, okay.
Jan.
Yes, Jan, please.
Just a quick comment relative to the ideas about kind of a overview look of Main Street and the village and so forth. The great context to do that would be in the village master plan project that we are just kicking off based on getting that grant. So over the next 6 months, we're going to have a steering committee and a whole exercise that looks at the village in a holistic way. And this infrastructure would fit right into that conversation.
Great comments. Thank you. I'm going to put off let's make this an agenda item, and then we'll get into it. We've got a big meeting tonight, so thank you for the comments, and let's
just one quick question before you go. Just back to 132.
Yeah.
So, Chris, just a beginner's question: the VT Trans Structures Grant, do they stipulate a minimum number of competitive bids in the process? I noticed you got 8.
No, they don't. There was just a large interest in it, and the reason why we had probably significant interest was because a lot of the state money has been drying up, and the state hasn't been putting out as many contracts. So we've had a lot of interest. A lot of people are coming out of the woodwork. I suspect that, we're going to have some good responses on our bids in the future. So.
Great, good to know. Thank you.
Terrific. Any other comments? Discussion.
I move to expend an amount not to exceed $200,000 from the Culvert designated fund number 54 to replace Culvert number 18 on Route 132.
Second. All right, here. Any discussion further? Let's vote. Klassen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And Greg's a yes. Great. Go do that, Culvert.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Chris.
Thanks all.
I look forward to talking about paving and Culvert and the town garage.
All that stuff.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.
The electric lines on the ground. On to what was number 8, number 9, Sweetland Farm Licensing Agreement. Do we get that this is now a standard license agreement that has been filled out and agreed to by the town? Not sure there's much for us to add. Is there an applicant?
They're not available tonight.
Not available? Okay.
I can answer any questions if you have.
Okay.
This is, again, as you said, this is the same template we've used for 2 prior licensing agreements when a utility is going to cross a town, or in this case, a town road. And crafted by our attorney. And all we're looking for is, I guess, a motion for me to execute this with the property owners.
This is the same. This is a similar one to the one that we used. The fellow that came in here who was trying to.
One of the directional drilling this is a water line. That was a
so-called laparoscopic approach.
Right.
And the same that we did for Graham.
That's right.
So this has become a standard way for us to
Water rocks.
water or electric to get under a road.
Yeah, water rocks.
Maybe salamander tunnels in the future. So this is great. Is there any discussion? This seems straightforward and agreeable to me. I appreciate the map.
Yes, the map, the Google Earth was beautiful.
I move to authorize the town manager to execute the license agreement between the town of Norwich and Nora S. Lake and Christopher M.
Olszewski.
As included in the select board meeting packet.
I'll second.
All right. Any further discussion? I don't see any. Let's vote. Klassen.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Terrific. Okay. Discussion regarding formation of working groups. I put a proposal in the packet. I guess I'd like to vote on whether we would allow working groups to be proposed. But in order for a working group to be formed, it would have to come before the board again. So someone would have to fill out an application and apply and show that they can fulfill the requirements. So right now, I'm just looking for approval of the idea.
And there'll be a template?
Then we will, yes. So I have some templates, and I'm trying to work with the assistant town manager and her assistant, your assistant, their assistant.
She's the administrative assistant.
The administrative assistant, thank you. To make sure that the templates are easy to push into the public realm.
Excellent.
I have a very slight sort of hope is that if these work, we might begin to introduce them as a possibility for committees, and they might use them as well to ease and provide when everything's the same. Standardization across the board, just make things simpler for the future.
Great. I've seen some drafts that came out late this afternoon of 2 PDFs for the meeting minutes and for the agenda, and I think they're going to be great if everyone can move to that. It will be easier for staff.
Nice. You'll never be able to tell them apart again. I'm sorry, Mary.
The document that you sent around to us, was that in the packet? Norwich Selectboard Working Group template?
Yes.
I lost track of what was.
Yeah, it's page 39.
Okay, just so the public can also see, and this is
38 and 39 is a letter to the select board and the proposal.
Great, and I think the proposal's very sound.
Yep.
I wonder if certain circumstances, on the past year, we've talked about queries. So are there some situations where it's cumbersome to have a working group or not? And I would be really cautious, like maybe do a tiny working group or something like that instead, just so it's consistent. But I think that the nature of the working group could be very different depending on the task and the number of people that you need input from.
Yeah.
And I'm also a little bit wondering about, for instance, I'm interested if we ever get to what we'd like to do just as an example, if we wanted to try to see if we could move the information meeting to the Saturday before the election, just convening all those groups might be awkward, but maybe having a small group and then sort of just emailing or somebody just to ask for timelines, ask for basic information without having everyone involved in the decision-making process. That makes sense?
It does.
Because like with that, you'd have, the town manager's office, the school district, the town clerk, JAM, and the community. So there'd be a lot of stakeholders, I guess you'd call them. But some of them, you'd really want to have them in the room as part of the group, trying to make a proposal to bring back. And others, I think it's just basic information, like a timeline, where it doesn't seem a big deal to email and say, hey, do you have a timeline?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think there's some nuances to the working group idea. But I think it's very interesting. Maybe we can get more done. And also, I think our town is amazing at getting things done. Amazing amount of talent and energy and passion and everything else. So organized properly, I think it could work out really well.
Yeah. I agree.
Seems as if it's essentially a more formalized form of what a lot of what's been done already. So it's making it a established procedure policy about that sort of thing, which is
always good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The question, what you mentioned, does leave me with some question as to how one requests input in a way that doesn't step over the open meeting law sort of requirements. If we're saying, oh, this person knows a lot of stuff about this particular topic, could you send us, an overview of what's going on? How does that fit into the meeting, the concept of making sure every meeting is open to the public? We need to really clarify at what point that is firmly in not being a meeting and not requiring.
I agree with that. I will also.
So I think if somebody from I'm sorry. Yes.
I could just follow up because I was on the child care committee, which was pretty much the format, but we'd convene people, like we could get experts in, but then they would be part of the meeting. But that's a more complex sort of sharing, whereas the timelines, it's not so much.
Yeah.
So, but I think Rob's onto something with that. Knowing what those lines are.
I'm the wrong end.
I think an individual can go meet anybody anytime they want to get information and bring it back.
True, but then if you go over the bounds of what somebody would say, well, that's special interests, and you're sort of pushing part of the decision-making process. But I think it's something we need to just be very conscious of setting a boundary and not going.
So I think this is an advisory group.
Right.
It would bring their findings to the select board.
Yep.
And that would be the goal, is to produce a report, bring it to us for possible action, maybe to give that to a committee, or maybe just give it to the town manager or to someone else act on.
That's exactly what the town got into trouble for.
Well,
how it's done.
So this is the reason for the template. We know what the requirements are.
Yep.
They're not hard to meet for an advisory group. They're much harder to whatever you call this threshold is much higher for groups like this, which are non-advisory.
Yep.
So if we have templates for the information that needs to be put out there, I think it's pretty easy.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Just have to be conscious of it and look at it.
Right. And be realistic about it.
Yeah. And this wouldn't, one of the things that Mary sort of volunteered to do was go and figure out a better way to get for the tax exemption things. And like, that seems to be a very specific singular question that one person could be tasked by the select board just to go to figure out the answer, bring it back.
Information.
Like that, I just want to make sure that's not a working group. That's just sort of a task, like a task
query. But I just want to be really careful that should it be a working group or not, or
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems like you need to it wouldn't be worth spinning up a working group for something
for something small and very focused.
Right.
Maybe we could define it better or something, or make a good definition so we don't fall off the rails. Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so on a conceptual level anyway, we're not approving any.
I think it's worth stumbling forward, and seeing how this works. And I'm sure that we'll revise it. But like, the concept is good, and I like that it's a finite time frame as well. And so I think it's worth trying.
I support it.
Would anyone like to get it across the street?
I had one technical question. On the end of it, it says, once a working group has completed its work and issued a written report for review and possible action by the select board may act for the group to be dissolved or absorbed. Is it ask, or did you mean act? So it may just basically dissolve.
You're done.
Okay.
So they don't just hang on forever.
Okay.
They don't have to, but they may.
Yeah. Okay.
Select board would have to act. So,
I didn't use that wording in here. And I think that the kind of thing you would define when the grouping, when it was formed. It would have a charge and you'd give it a job to do.
Right.
And they would go do that job. And when they're done with the job,
they dissolve themselves.
You could dissolve it because we don't want a bunch of some working groups.
I think in your charge, like with the childcare committee, we definitely had a sunset date. So make sure if you think it's going to be finite, that because otherwise they'll just go on and invent new ways to do it because they get used to it.
Right. It'll be like the land management council, which we're trying to.
This kind of right.
But not all working groups will need to be dissolved. You may have, if you had a Huntley Meadows working group, you might not want to dissolve it until the baseball diamonds are finished in 2 or 3 years. I don't know. Hopefully not. But
before opening day.
That's why I use the word may rather than must or will or.
Okay.
So
all right.
Will this, say we have a great, nicely functioning working group that should go on into the future. Does that mean we don't have a committee? Like we'll just have the way we name these things is. Yeah. Because in the beginning of this, you said our working group is like, you go in, you get the info and you come back and it dissolves. So it's just another nuance of it.
Yes.
Right.
So it might go under a committee.
Be approved to be a committee or something.
Yeah. Be absorbed by one or.
But that would be a future decision.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. All right.
I move to approve.
All right. There is a motion. So we're not here. We want to do it officially.
I move to approve the formation of working groups as per the proposal included in the select board meeting packet.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Jan's not saying anything. Okay, let's vote quickly.
Yes.
And Leighton was the second. Klassen.
Yes.
Leighton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And Greg's. That's appropriate for a crossing guard to have got that across the street. Great. All right. We are going to move into a different mode. We have to approve some liquor licenses, but we need to do that as liquor control commissioner. So would someone like to move item, what was 15 and now 16?
Now 16.
Oh, okay.
So I move to recess the meeting of select board at
8:55.
At 8:55. So
sorry.
I think you skipped over a couple agenda items there. You're going off of the motion sheet.
You're right. We did. I'm sorry.
The goals and the 10-minute, quite a few actually.
Quite a few. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong list.
Oh, they jumped.
Yeah.
On the motions. The
Well,
motion
these
sheet
don't
is a
require any
giant
motion,
gap.
so, thank you for
Thanks,
helping us.
Brenda.
So we're withdrawing that partial motion. So discussion of select board goals, discussion of goals for town manager. We have sent out information on setting goals. I have not sent my select board goals in, I realize now. I should have done this today. I guess I wonder if people feel like we're ready for these discussions, or whether you'd like a little more time to share information or cogitate, or nothing in the packet yet. One of the things I noticed from reading other people's notes was that the setting of goals for both the select board and a town manager, not for the specific select board or a specific town, but generally speaking, those goals are not equal to or equivalent to the tasks that we have ahead of us. I mean, the goals may be to complete those tasks, but the goals themselves might be at a higher level of organization, communication, reporting, infrastructure. So as I noticed this, I felt like each of us had a personal approach. And when I went to collate them, I couldn't. But I can try again. Partly I didn't have enough time to devote to it. But does that make sense, to establish goals that are sort of higher level, that help guide our work on the projects that we're doing?
Yes. I think so. Just to define those sort of 30,000 foot ones, but then to actually get something done, that the little sub goals would have to go underneath.
Yeah.
But to hit all the areas does seem like a good idea. All the, the major goals.
Okay.
I have a question on one of the documents.
Yes.
I wanted to ask Brendan to clarify something on your town manager goals, 1.3, which says provide all assistance to the auditor of accounts and the town treasurer as requested to ensure the select board receives a summary of internal financial controls or the statutory deadline for submission to the select board of July 31st. I was just not unaware that we were reviewing internal financial controls except in the context of the audit usually. Mm-hmm. So this sounds like would this be the closing of the books? No, because that's June 30th.
Oh, I just
right?
pulled this out of 1236, the statute.
Okay, I don't know. I just don't know what it is. I'll just need to know.
Yeah.
I just don't remember this being a time.
Well, it's essentially a statute that requires us to receive it.
To receive what?
The audit.
Well, the audit though is received usually before town meeting.
I'm going to.
This is a fine point, so we don't have to keep going.
This isn't in the. Well, there's no public documentation of this yet.
Oh, okay.
So we're discussing stuff that other people can't see.
Okay.
I'd like them to be able to see it when we discuss it. So if it's all right with all of you, I would like to continue to share information over the next 3, 4, 5 days. Get something in the packet for next session that allows us to really.
Okay. And will it have the two? I mean, town manager and select board.
Yes.
You're going to try to sort it out a little more.
Yes, that is my goal.
Rob says.
We could let artificial intelligence do
We could do that.
Well, funny, you could probably run it through and see what it says.
When I was doing this, I really struggled with select board goals, like 30,000 foot statutes, John's wonderful open meeting law presentation. I think we know the way we have to operate, but it's so hard to set goals. Like, make sure 3 working groups that you're on, Rob, deliver to their objectives.
Right.
And do we score you on that?
I don't know.
See, I was really looking at, for select board goals, I was looking at things that I would like us or some subgroup of us to like accomplish in this session, essentially. So, or maybe not in this, at least like start it.
Initiate.
Like if it was the town garage, like deal with the town garage. You know, that might be a multi-year thing, but like start it. And so what things do we want to accomplish? Like what's our to-do list versus, but I completely understand what you're saying. Like goals could be, you know, much higher level, you know, create a situation, create an environment where the public feels encouraged and safe to, you know, express all their ideas, or, you know, or treat our, you know, fellow select board members with like respect no matter what, or those kind of things. But I think that I think that we operate at a pretty good level right now at those goals. But I still am really curious what people's top 3 priorities to get done are.
So I think that's the difference: goals and priority projects.
Yeah.
They're related, but I realize they're different, and they're being presented differently by each of us. So I'd like a chance to. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was looking back over minutes and packets and so on, and I happened on a 2021 packet that had the same exact question: what are the goals of the select board members? And I remember pulling up mine and going, "Oh, that's very lofty and everything." And then I looked at the other members, and it was very concrete. And very specific as to accomplish this particular goal and so on. And so I remember saying to myself, "Oh, maybe I need to go the other way." And so, and what I submitted was thinking more in terms of the sort of concrete, specific, short-term goals.
So if one of the goals is develop strategies that allow for rapid deployment of, you know, project energies and expertise, then you say, okay, these are the strategies we use to make sure that the sidewalks are clean and that the crosswalks are painted in the, but those aren't your goals. Those are the projects. Goals allow to. So, okay. So we can keep the meeting shorter by agreeing to table this.
Good.
Now.
10 and 11.
Continue to work
10 and 11.
10 and 11, yeah.
Okay, and I have a request.
Yes.
Since it's 9, could we have a 5-minute break?
Let's have a 5-minute break. Yeah.
Are you going to move on after that?
Yes.
Yes.
May I make a comment, please? Yes. 1 minute. Am I, Mr. Chair? So it would be my hope that the select board would be setting policies. Because if you're the legislative body, you're wanting to have policies. And I think we're lacking in that area big time. So if you know the policies of what the town should have, and VLCT is very helpful in the policy models that you can work from, you then evaluate the work of the employees of the town by how they adhere to your policies and how those are followed. So you've got policies, and then you've got procedures for implementing policy.
Yep.
And that's something that once you write 20 policies, and here's how you want the town to adhere to what you want them to adhere to, you then review them annually because statutes change. You may have a statutory reference in a policy, and you want to update that policy to make sure it's compliant with a statutory change or something. So if you've ever served on a board, and I'm sure many of you have, you're a policy-making group so that the procedures to implement those policies are created. And that's the task of the employees, your department heads, your town manager, et cetera.
Yeah, so we can establish policies. The town manager is responsible for some of the things, many of the things you're talking in. The procedures that follow from those policies don't go.
That's correct, but that's the goals that you then are going to maybe talk about next.
Okay.
Thank you. I tried to make sure.
Good point. Good point. Yeah, I like thinking about this stuff, but it was not as simple as I thought it was going to be.
And also the other value of tabling it and having it another time is that then we can also have more citizen commentary on it as well, because it should be a discussion. I appreciated, Chris Katsuki wrote in at the end of this packet, like some stuff that he thought would be good to add. Like, I think it's good to open up the discussion.
Okay, we are going to take a 5-minute break, and we will be back at 10 minutes after 9.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Again,
This meeting is being recorded.
we are back in session at 9:12 p.m. March 25th, 2026. We've read the town manager report. We've seen the department reports. Is there anything to add?
I just had a couple little things. If I won't go through everything. We are in the next meeting going to have a request from the finance office, and the request is going to be related to our credit card. And we have had recurring timing issues of not getting payments on time to the card, which then immediately gets shut off without really giving us any notice. And then we have people trying to use the card and saying it got declined. So the proposal is going to be, and I'll save the memo for the next packet, but it's going to be basically allowing the finance office to make like a phone payment or an electronic payment if necessary to keep the card active. And then the town would approve the expenditures at the next meeting. So it's really just a timing issue.
There'll be a limit, spending limit.
There is a $10,000 limit on the card. So we haven't hit the spending limit. It's just been a timing issue of payments missing and cards getting shut off. So that's it. On the planning side, the other thing that will be coming to a future meeting, hopefully the April 22nd, is a public meeting related to the short-term rental bylaw adoption that's gone through the planning commission process. So the next step of that is to bring it to the select board to hold a public hearing. So talking with Stephen, if we could get that in the parking lot for the 22nd, and then we have to do some prior meeting notices. So that'll give us enough time to do that. Okay.
Sounds good.
And then I think the only other topic, you may have another citizen assistance fund request coming for the March 8th meeting. I'm working with John Carroll right now on a potential request.
Great.
That's all I had that wasn't in the report.
All right. Any discussion about that or questions for town manager or?
I have none.
I'm good.
Are you all good?
I had one question. Just, do you have, and you might not know this, but I was wondering. I appreciated the finance department showed the tax year and how much was left in collecting from that year. And it seemed like there was a huge difference. Well, there was a huge difference between the 22-23 year and the 23-24 year. You know, obviously they have a year more to collect, but like I was curious if there was something that I know that this might
change.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I think we may have
$4,000 of collection.
We may become more active in sending notices. Is that what you're asking?
No, there's actually I think there's a lot less outstanding from the 22-23 than there is from previous years going forward.
No.
I can ask Barry.
Yeah, I don't have a
good
answer for you.
Something good was done back then, but it was neat. It was good to see that, and I appreciate that they're changing sort of the AP, the financial information, so that it just cascades forward in a timeline. That's also great. That's it.
All right. Guess we can keep moving. We've done the Board of Listers request. We're down to the liquor license renewals. So if you would like to.
Oh, yes, now. I move to recess the meeting of the Select Board at 9:15 p.m. for the purpose of executing the duties of the local liquor control commissioners under Authority 7 VSA 167.
All right.
It's sec, whatever that means.
Et sec.
Yes.
Usual Latin.
So moved by Klassen. Was that seconded by you?
Second that.
Let's vote. Klassen?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
Sweat?
Yes.
And yes. All right. So now we look at the liquor licenses. Presumably you've all studied them closely. And I don't think there are any questions for me regarding them.
Well, it looks pretty clear.
Should we move them along?
Yeah, I'll know this one. I move to approve the outside consumption permit, application number 71810 for Green Visions LLC, DBA The Norwich Inn, the first class restaurant bar license, application number 71807 for Green Visions LLC, DBA The Norwich Inn, the second class license, application number 71808 for Green Visions LLC, DBA The Norwich Inn, and the third class license, application number 71813 for Green Visions LLC, DBA The Norwich Inn.
Second.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Anybody who doesn't want these approved? All right, let's vote. Klassen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And Griggs, I'm a yes. Terrific.
Now, a point of order.
Yes.
We have to, I think we have to come back as a select board. It's not on our motion sheet.
We have more to.
Oh, we have more. Okay, because there's more. I see. That makes sense.
Motion.
Yep, okay. I see it now. Should I do this one too?
Sure.
Okay. All right. I move to approve the first class restaurant bar license application number 72268 for King Arthur Baking Company, Inc., DBA The King Arthur Flour Company. The outside consumption permit application number 72271 for King Arthur Baking Company, Inc., DBA The King Arthur Flour Company. And the outside consumption permit application number 72272 for King Arthur Baking Company, Inc., DBA The King Arthur Flour Company.
Second that.
Terrific. Discussion? No discussion. Great. Voting. Klassen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat. Yes. And I'm a yes. Terrific. Would someone like to move to
I will move to close the Norwich Commission session at 9:19 and reconvene the select board meeting.
I'll second.
All right, let's vote.
Yes.
Klassen. Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat. Yes. And Griggs the yes. Terrific. And that was Klassen and Layton. Terrific. All right. 17, approve the minutes. I wonder if anybody has any modifications, changes, commentary.
3rd and the 11th.
Yeah, so that's starting on page, I think, 104 of the, this is for the March. Interesting. So this is March 3rd on the.
Oh.
Oh, no, my motion sheet says March 3rd, but
I think that should be 5th.
The special one.
Or is it 4th now that I'm?
4th. 4th and the 11th.
is the day after.
4th was the organizational.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, so, yep, so 4th and 11th. Great. And March 18th. Any?
Did we do 18? Is that listed there?
No, this is the 4th and the 11th, right?
Yeah, I don't know why the
4th and the
18th is in
11th.
here.
It's just 11th. Right?
So March 18th has not been. No, the 4th and the 11th, I believe.
That's what we have on our motion sheet here.
Yeah. Yeah, 4th and 11th. Anything amiss?
I'm good with it.
I would like to move the.
I move to approve the minutes for March 4th and March 11th, 2026 as presented to the select board.
I'll second.
Terrific. Let's vote. Klassen.
Yes.
Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
Griggs. And that was moved by Gear, seconded by Layton. Moving swiftly on to AP warrants. Are there any questions there? Fry bar, $232. Yeah. Would hope.
One point of order, Mr. Chairman.
What is your point of order?
The minutes for Wednesday, March 18th are included in the.
They are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes.
Therefore,
yes. So we will need to.
So another motion would be easier, I think.
Yeah, another motion just to approve those as well.
I move to approve the minutes for March 18th as presented.
Second that.
I would have.
Terrific. Let's vote. Class.
You want a discussion? Okay.
I would suggest a correction.
Oh, for the 18th?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so I will withdraw my motion because I said as presented, but you have a correction.
Yes. The motion said Classon stated that Smith was qualified, but the select board's decision to advertise the role was a refreshing shift towards transparency. I would like to change it to reflect the actual conversation. I believe Classon stated that Smith was qualified, but the select board's decision to advertise the role was a refreshing shift towards transparency, unlike previous select boards. I think it's a true reading.
On the tape.
I have no objection.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah, so just the addition of, unlike previous select boards, after shift for transparency.
Yes. If you want. I think that.
Your memory agrees with my memory.
Yes, it explains the next minute.
Yes, yes.
With greater clarity.
So should we move that again?
Yes.
So I move to approve the minutes as amended. And then there'll need to be a second, I guess.
Second.
Okay.
Let's vote. Classen.
Yes.
Layton.
Yes.
Gear.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
And I am a yes. Thank you for that correction.
Yes. I was thinking I guess caught up too.
Layton. And who seconded that?
Matt did.
Sweat. Terrific. Warrants. Would anyone like to move the warrants?
I'll do it. I move to approve AP warrant number 1465 in the amount of $141,990.45 to be paid from the general fund. AP warrant number 1466 in the amount of $121.50 to be paid from the general fund. And AP warrant number 1467 in the amount of $3,799.09 from the general fund.
Second. All right. Any discussion? Cheryl Lindbergh is on the screen. Yes, Cheryl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did review the warrants and have one question that I can ask Brennan, and maybe he'll refer me to Barry, but I see on there a payment to Nemrick for hosting the maps in the larger warrant, and that has been expensed to the lister's office, but I don't recall approving this invoice. As you know, we usually get to approve our invoices before they go in for payment, each department. And so I think that belongs in the zoning office because we didn't budget $900 and some odd as listers for that expenditure. So I just wanted to bring that to the attention of the select board. It's not saying that the Nemrick invoice shouldn't be paid. I'm just mentioning that the allocation it looks to be off on where it's expensed. That's my only comment. Thank you.
What, do you know what page that is? Which?
In the larger warrant, it would probably alphabetically, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, it's alphabetical, of course. Yep.
Yes, if you go down, I don't know if it's the second or third page. I don't have it open in front of me, but it's under the ends, New England, municipal.
Yes, muni resource.
127 page.
Yeah, okay.
So
40030. Okay.
You hosting.
So maybe that's something.
I'll look into that with the finance office to see why it was coded that way.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, we have, it's been moved, it's been seconded, we've had comments, let's vote. Dawson?
Yes.
Layton?
Yes.
Gear?
Yes.
Sweat?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, receipt of correspondence. It's a long list, but we have a report from Chief Romei following up on his speeding, discussion about speeding in town. We had an application for listers for a position. We had a letter regarding ARPA. Norwich Baseball sent in a package. We had a letter from Pam Smith. Were some responses. Chris Clement enclosed a model public records policy for us to look at. Brian Riordan wrote in a letter regarding speeding. Chris Clement also sent in a letter regarding the agenda item from March 11th. Chris Katuki sent in a possible executive session concern for March 11th. We had a letter from Cheryl Lindbergh regarding discussion of Land Management Council, letter from Colin Osborne regarding monarch butterfly preservation and so on, letter from Watt Alexander regarding a letter from Marcia Calloway, a letter from Cheryl Lindbergh regarding listers agenda item, letter from Kyle Katz regarding Tier 1B resolution, and a letter from Chris Katuki regarding setting goals for the town manager and select board, storm and flood resilience planning, capital spending, and the town website. Missed anything?
You got it.
Okay, we allowed 10 minutes for that. I think I took 11. Do I have are there any comments on the correspondence? It's a lot to take in.
Robust.
We did talk about potential future agenda item is codifying or creating a policy for requests for public records, right?
Yes.
That's in our parking lot now.
And that's very much one of our select board members' interests.
Yeah.
Okay.
As an individual. So I think
And
that's
opioid, yeah, just for future agenda, like the opioid, close the loop on that. It's like how we're going to spend money.
fantastic.
Would be good.
I have some comments on that. Remind me after the meeting to give you a name. All right. Anybody want to receive the correspondence?
I move to receive all correspondence.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion. Let's vote. Klassen, Layton,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Sweat,
Yes.
and Griggs is a yes. Who seconded that? That was Gear. Okay. Terrific.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
A second.
Third.
Well, it's quick, 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to comment. Yeah, looking at the agenda, I thought it was going to be a 10:30.
Yeah, I
drank some coffee late in the afternoon and now I am.
Finished.
We still have to vote to adjourn.
Yes.
Just saying.
Any more discussion?
Now it's 9:31.
Klassen,
Yes.
Layton,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Sweat,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you for contributions. this
The
morning.
recording has stopped.